class, I come out of OG Stilo. We know, gotta be the homie Kilo. Me and West Coast, how I keep it G. Yeah, I pulled up on 4 wheels, but I'ma leave on 3. See that booty class, I come out of OG Stilo. We know, gotta be the homie Kilos. You see that 6'4", you see that set up. Pesco's may take a while to walk, but she gon' let up.
What up, world? Your boy Kilo's back. So, a couple housekeeping things. So, I updated my logo. You know, my old logo used to be like this. I went through, drew up some new ideas, went through, and then got it made. The issue with it was the old logo was just a typeface that you can go online and grab, and I didn't really like that, so I decided to draw something up that I felt more passionate about. I know people have told me that the old one, which is this one, is a little bit more legible than this one, which is the new style. But at the end of the day, you got to be rocking with something that you're proud of, and that is, you know, it's all on me. So I mean, if you're rocking a logo that you're not happy with, I mean, check it out, check it out. It's on the back. If you're rocking with a logo that you're unhappy with, I mean, how can you really, you know, represent? So I felt like I was growing and I was unhappy with my logo, so that is just what it is. Today, I'm going to be going over my collection. A lot of Lowrider stuff, not only Lowrider Magazine. I'm going to be going through pretty much my whole magazine. Might try to throw some other things in. I don't know how big this episode is going to be. Obviously, I'm recording this before I actually went through all this. Typically, you want to record the intro at the end. But I'm going to go through some of my issues. Well, not some of them. I'm going to try to go through them all. Every Lowrider issue, every Boulevard issue. Try to go through them all. So I'm going to start off actually with something I got in the mail. It came from somebody in Japan. So homie out there reached out. Might be working with them. Gonna get some stuff going on. So see how this goes. So first time opening it up. That's what it is. Oh, that next full life, man. Man, is this sweet. Oh, this is a current calendar? Oh man, this is a current calendar. So in case you guys don't know, that Next Full Life is actually based out of Japan. Bro, they've been killing it. There's a couple people that are producing magazines right now, and like, you know, I think it's worth grabbing. Honestly, Lowrider's dead. As I spoke about before in previous videos, it's probably never going to come back. So you have to pay homage to those that are producing right now. And I'm sorry, I guess I should be showing you guys. This is my first time seeing this. But I mean, you guys gotta represent for. Shout out to the homie out there that sent it to me, man. Can't wait to be out in Japan. Hopefully soon, real soon, like this year. But with that, the Next Full Life, let's get into their issues. Next Full Life, so actually this is one of their. They had Full Life for a while. I actually don't have many of their collections because this is a fully Japanese magazine. We can go through, I'll show you a little bit. I'm not going to show you a lot of it because we got a lot of magazines to go through today. If you guys want to cop, I mean, you guys can reach out to Next Full Life. I'll put their email below and you guys can check it out. But full Japanese magazine, stateside, bro, these things aren't that easy to get, especially here in Ohio. So, I mean, to have one of these is pretty cool. But we're going to talk about what they're actually producing right now. So they were called Full Life. Now it's Next Full Life. This is their SS issue, or SAS, which is their show out there. This is like their biggest show in Japan. It's in the like outskirts of Tokyo. I'm going to try to hit it this year, hopefully. Great issue. I kind of should only show you the covers because I mean this is going to be a pretty long video. But this is kind of their special collector's issue. This is issue number 1. Great content. I know I said I'm going to show you, but I mean, great content. Issue number 1 was hot. Issue number 2, really good issue right here. That issue number 3, I ended up getting 2 copies of this one because it was so good. And then issue number 4, and they're actually working on issue number 5. That's supposed to be a straight LA issue, so check out the homie Dre. He's shooting a lot of that one. It's going to be a hot one. They're definitely a magazine I would look into if you haven't already. The ones that I would try to keep an eye out for, Centerfolds, definitely Beto, reach out to him. You guys saw I did a whole episode on just Centerfolds. Definitely a good one. And then also, I mean, Next Full Life is one that I check up on regularly. There's a couple of them that are still producing that I really look out for. But I want to get into some of the Oddball Lowrider magazines from back in the day. everybody had a lot of the regular issues. You had subscription stuff. Talking about that, this is actually a pink hat from Dick Duluth. He passed away. I've told many of you guys before in person, but we're here in the world, the grand scheme of things. He had an estate sale. His son out of Florida, Dick still lived in California, had one of the close family friends list a lot of things up online, and I tried to purchase as much as I could. A lot of magazines. I got some actual Japanese magazines from his estate sale. I have one of the Lowrider books, like the actual physical hard copy books. A bunch of magazines I picked up that just got dissolved into my whole collection, which I'll be sharing with you today. But this is one of his pink hats. I have my additional one. Bro, I mean, it's an honor to have it. It lives here now in Ohio in, my basic little museum. If anybody ever wants to try to reach out, I'm down to do interviews and stuff. If anybody want to come check it out, feel free. But we're going to get into this Lowrider stuff. So this is the best of. This is their first issue. It basically just was a regurgitation of kind of what was happening in the early 90s. Pretty good issue. I actually have 2 copies of this one. Then they did their Best of Impalas, which was their version number 2. This is their second issue. Well, no, I think this is not their second issue. This is collector issue number 3. This is issue collector number 2. So this is their number 2 issue. And then this is their issue number 3, right? Then they have issue number 4. And then they have their best of issue number 5. And this was pretty much it for the best ofs as far as their collector series. Then you have their best of classic bombs, best of Cadillacs, best of radicals, best of 70s, the best of the 90s, volume 1, the best of the 90s, volume 2. Then you're kind of done with the best ofs. This is the select showcasing. This is kind of going over their history. I think this was 2014. So this was pretty much towards the end of the magazine. So they're just going over their highlights and kind of a lot of their magazines. This issue actually isn't that easy to find if you were to look for it online. I have 2 copies here, but they're not that easy to find, and they go for a decent amount of money now. This is my Lowrider 30th anniversary, so 30 years. This actually came with it has like a little plastic like logo piece that says 30 years. I also have 2 Lowrider 30th anniversary hats. But this kind of just goes over again. They did a lot of these kind of towards the end where it's just kind of going over, they were acknowledging their history, and I think that they knew that the golden era was dead. This one was released in 2007, so right before the financial collapse and stuff. Then we took a break, and lowriding, I mean, I was there for it all, and it definitely stepped back a little bit from 08, I would say, to almost 2014. There were some years in there. I mean, if you were on lay low and stuff, you had that type of community going on. But a lot of people that were active in the 90s kind of stepped back at that point, whether it was financial position, reasonings, or people just had families, and it was just a natural progression. So we're going to get into the ladies of lowriding. They also had some other issues I'll show you later on. Bro, this issue you could definitely pass on. It's not that good. It's okay. This is like what you would send to your homies out in jail. Actually, what's hot is, where's it at? They have a poster that I actually have here. Yeah, this one. So they have this poster right here, which was given to me by Lewis from Lifestyle. This poster right here. It's hanging right here on my wall. I'm gonna show you that one in a little bit. But I thought that was cool when I saw it because obviously Lifestyle was shooting a lot of this. So you had like Saul Vargas and all those people that were shooting a lot of these. So Lifestyle was very prevalent. But I'm gonna get into some of the other issues that were kind of out there that not a lot of people knew about. So we have Reader's Rides. So this is the first issue of Reader's Rides. This is a collection of the homie. A lot of this stuff in here is actually the homie out of Detroit. So if you're familiar with the Midwest, this is basically a Midwest issue. This wasn't an issue that was actually given out if you had a subscription either. None of these actually were. These were things that they just would throw out into the stores and just had to purchase. So yeah, I mean, if you know, you know, basically. Not a lot of these copies are actually on the street, and these very rarely pop up on eBay that much. But yeah, I mean, this was issue number 1. And then we had issue number 2, which are here. The homie Max out of Lima, Ohio, right here in the front cover. And then, let's see, we have Reader's Rides, which one do I want to show? Okay, we'll do this one. This is Reader Rides. This is their issue number 3. But I noticed that they have a picture here and a picture on this one. These pictures are actually different, but they're the same. They're the same magazines in and out. The only thing that differed was this picture on the front cover. Lowrider did actually do some oddities where they would do certain covers for certain sellers. Like AutoZone would get their own cover, and that's usually like the 05, 04 era. This was actually after that, so that's why I thought it was weird. This was 08, so that whole thing was gone. It looked like maybe somebody rushed to print, and it just didn't happen. They also did LUV, which is Lowrider Utility Vehicles. This came with another issue. It wasn't that good of an issue, and they never really continued after this. This was kind of just to test the market. Really small, really thin. Definitely would not pick that one up for no reason. This was the Reader's Rides. This one was hot if you like lowrider bikes, because this one had a bunch of lowrider bikes. This was kind of, Lowrider Bicycle Magazine was gone at this time, so some of these were actually bikes that were shot for Lowrider Magazine, but then also some of these were just, things that just never made it into the magazine. So it was really cool to see. They go into the history. You got Warren Wong right here. I got a longboard right here on the wall. I'm gonna show you guys later on in this video where Warren Wong gave me that board, the longboard. But yeah, I mean, it's just a great magazine overall. So like I was saying, Eric out of Detroit shot a lot of the early Reader Rides, like this one, and then some of the other ones. There's a lot of his work. So this is that 05, I'm sorry, let's say 05, 07 to 09 era. Kind of, they were doing a bunch of oddities like this. But they still actually produced the Lowrider Magazine. They just had a bunch of Reader's Rides and all these other things that they were kind of producing simultaneously. And unless you went in the store and saw it, you probably weren't going to pick it up. So you had no clue that it even existed. So now we're going to be looking at the Lowrider Boulevard issues. This started in 2002. And I have a couple of the issues. I don't have them all here. I have most of the first print, but I think they did maybe 2 or 3 volumes. So I think they went to like roughly 2004, 2005-ish. But that was Boulevard, and this is essentially all that I have of Boulevard magazine. The content's pretty good in them. That was kind of the era where a lot of people were popping up. I think that's around, I think Street Low popped up in like 99. You had this one in 02, and then you have the Lowriders, and this was, I think, around the same time, if I'm not mistaken. So this first issue actually has, I think, the lifestyle poster in it. Yeah. So this has a poster. Here you go. If you're able to get that issue number 1, Lowriders, have a bunch of lifestyle members, which is interesting because, like I mentioned, the opposing for the Lowriders was actually Lowrider Magazine, which was, Joe Ray and stuff like that. So I'm actually not that familiar with the Lowriders. I mean, I have a few issues, but not that many. So that's it for the Lowriders that I have. But then I get Low Company, and this was again that 02 era. And these are also good issues, but I don't have many of them because they don't pop up online that much. So that's pretty much the extent of what I have. And then I'm going to get into the traditional lowriding. If you know Mr. Impala, Brent, I wasn't aware at the time, but we went, obviously, if you saw my interview with him, he went and told me that he was a big part of it. He was actually the photographer for them at the time. So this was issue number 1. I believe there's only 4 issues. This was issue number 2. Right, issue number 2. I don't even think it said volumes. It just said, so you have August, September, yeah, November, and then I think I'm missing one that has a Cadillac. So this is the homie out of Miami, Florida, This is the one that Brent actually gave me, so. And then I have a Lowrider Magazine issue that I need to put in with the rest of my stuff. This issue always held significance to me because it was a bike in here from Cleveland. So I always like to keep it around. I actually have the poster. I have a poster in this one as well. So I have the poster in this one. All my issues of magazines, I usually only take the posters out of like B grade or lower. So I always will keep an A on hand. And this is obviously the homie mic, but this will happen in 2018, so we'll get to that one later. Lowrider Today, this is Saul Vargas. I don't really know much of his publication. I have this was actually given to me by Mike Lopez out of Cadillac Connect. So, you know, a porracita from the IE, first, is this second? No, it's February. So, you know, porracita from the IE representing, I guess. But that is pretty much the extent of, I don't have any other of the Lowrider Todays. So let's get started with the Lowrider Magazine. So this is issue number 1. I only have repops. The difference between a repop and an OG one is obviously the size. If you have an OG one, it is like almost, it's like a newspaper, like an OG. That's essentially what it was a newspaper. These are smaller size, so these actually are more like a magazine. The reprint actually came out in 2003 with the actual Lowrider issue if you bought it in the store. A lot of people will hop online and act like these are the OGs. Please don't go out there and spend $1,500, you know, for these. Honestly, the magazine as a whole, I've said this multiple times before, bro, the magazine ain't all that. You might want it just for the historical significance, but make sure it's an OG one because people repop a lot of magazines. Just like they repop Impala parts, they repop a lot of magazines because there's money to be made. But let's get into my actual collection. Obviously that one was a repop, but a lot of these other issues are way older than me. So this is, I start with my whole collection. November of 81 is where my collection actually starts. And I have 2 November 81s, I guess. I don't go through these that much. These obviously are older magazines, so I keep them put up. This is December of 82. This actually has a car from Kentucky. There was a couple cars in Ohio, which was my main reason for getting into a lot of these older magazines, because I was curious to see the historical aspect of what cars were actually around. There is, where is it? There's a car out of Kentucky, and if you guys remember in Lowrider, the Hot Pit in like the 90s, there used to be somebody called Hillbilly Hopper. He was based out of Kentucky. His car was in this one, I believe. Let's see. Yeah, these magazines are old, so I try to be as delicate as possible with them, but they are not in the best condition. Yeah, here we go. So this one at the bottom, I think it's maybe still for sale, or he might have sold it. Obviously, I purchased a lot of these magazines at a later time or after, so these are all, they weren't mine originally. I wasn't even born yet. But this is March 82. This is November 82. I always thought it was cool because he has the Lowrider jacket with the Porsche, because Porsche wheels were a big inspiration in the Lowrider world, and like, you know, it wasn't as it has to be an Impala during this era. June, July of 83. So they were combining issues because, you know, it was hard for the sales. We'll go through and talk about when Lowrider Magazine stopped. So September of 83, September of 83 as well. Let's see. November of 83, November of 83. Obviously I have a lot of doubles. March of 83, January of 83, February of 83. These obviously are not in order. December of 83, December of 83, April 83. I should have went through and organized these before. August of 83. So I think I have a full 83. I have close to a full 84. May 84, maybe not full 84 then. October 84. October 84. December 84. December 84. December 85. December 85. November 85. October 85. October 85. September 85. August 85. August 85. July 85, June 85, May 85, April 85, March 85. I thought it was 86, but they didn't produce it in 86, so I thought it was weird. February 85, January of 85, and then we take a break because in 1986 to 1988, mid 88, so we had no 86, no 87, and midway through 88. So 2.5 years we had no Lowrider magazines. The magazines weren't doing that well. Obviously, they were a little bit backwards because I was looking at the December one to kind of see ads and stuff, but the magazine wasn't doing so well. Albert did not purchase it until mid 88, and that's what we get into here. This is the lowrider that we learned and loved, and it kind of became the huge conglomerate. In this era, there was more mini trucking. This was when a lot of mini trucking was going on. You had your lifted beds and all that stuff. There were still lowriders that were out there, but they weren't as prevalent. Like the mini truck scene was huge. And that was cross country. No matter where you went from the East Coast to the West Coast, mini trucking was really popular. And with that, Albert realized that he kind of wanted to bring the magazine back because he wanted to capitalize on that. And then we get some of these issues. So let me see if I can arrange them a little bit because I believe that they are backwards, but they are all here. But I don't want that era. I want to go back, way back. Yeah, here we go. So I'm going to do like this then. So the first issue, these actually were a little bit more difficult to get. The 88s, there wasn't as big of a surplus of them because they're bringing the magazine back and they just didn't have, nobody knew if this was actually going to work out. So this is July of 88. July of 88. Then we get August of 88. August 88. September 88. September 88. And this is actually interesting because this is Michael Lopez Twilight from Lifestyle. This cover, he's actually on the cover later on too, in the 90s. So he's a cover car that featured twice. Lowrider didn't typically feature the same car on the cover twice, so I mean, that was interesting. October of 88. October 88. You could see that you have the mini truck up top with the 57 at the bottom. And then November. You can see the covers too. I think they're still trying to experiment with kind of what is working and what's going to sell. It was all experiment, man. That's all it was, I wish I could speak to some of the people that were photographers back then in that era. This is another November 88. November 88. And then we get to, they did a December and January, so December of 88 and January of 89. This is a pretty famous Click Cadillac. So 2 issues of that one. And then we're going to get into the February of 89. I think this is like we really start to see the women on top of the cover. And from here on out, pretty much it just runs throughout. Very rarely do you get a cover without it. Obviously, as I mentioned before, AutoZone did not want to have their covers with women on them. But also the Lowrider logo is slightly different in this one. Like from the earlier years, it's the same exact logo, but in later years, they'll actually shrink the space between low and rider into just one, and they'll say Lowrider. Just a minute thing as far as logos go. That doesn't happen until probably the mid 90s is when you start to see it. This is April. Was this one as well? Yeah, so these are both April of 89s. May of 89, this was a Hawaii feature. Hardtop 6.4 with the booty kit. I'm building my Impala. I like the traditional route. I know a lot of people don't like the booty kits on the Impalas, but after seeing this one, I picked up my booty kit. And then I can't wait to put it on the car, man. I'm building slowly, pulling away at the car. Just slow rolling right now. June 89. July 89, August 89, another August 89, September 89, then October 89, November 89, and November 89. I have my December 89, and because it's just like the last one where they did 2 months, it's December 89 and March of 90s. So this is where we get back to the December and January of 90s. I have 2 copies of this issue. This is, the 90s is where Lowrider really starts to get popular. The magazines are actually thicker than they were in the 80s. More ads are obviously going into these issues. Again, you still have the Lowrider logo is the old logo. These 3 issues are February of 90. Then I took a profile picture of on my Instagram. If you check me out, it's Kilos One, or you can check out Kilos Media, obviously. With this issue, March of 90, because it's my birth month, thought it was cool. Bro, I don't know how I ended up with so many copies of this issue. There's another one from 93, I think it's May. I have a bunch of issues of. I mean, it's an okay cover. It ain't nothing really super iconic, but I mean, it's always cool to have that. And then April 90, bro, a lot of these, once we get to the 90s and moving forward, I have tons of copies, so actually 3 of these. So yeah, so April of 90, and then we get May of 90, May of 90, May of 90, and that's Joe Ray's car, if you guys know. So, but, and then we have June of 90. I'm gonna have 1 issue of this one, so. That's June of 90. And I have some 91s in here mixed up, I guess. So let me move these around real quick because these are 91s. These are 91s, 91, 91, 91. So move these here. Yep. Perfect. So I left off at June. This is July of 90, July of 90, July of 90. And then we're going to get into August of 90, August 90. Out of curiosity, what's your favorite cover, you know? Did I go over it already? Did I still have to drop it? Was your car featured? A lot of these issues, I mean, they're time capsules into people's lives at a particular time, you know? October 90 here, October 90 still in plastic. Some of them I still keep in plastic that are like a pristine condition. Most of these are good grade, like these are some good grades. I mean, the staples have not rusted, and there's no tears or anything, no bends. So I would say that these are pretty close to an A, maybe like a B at the least. But this one, you know, you have a little bit of folding on the edge, but that's kind of how I grade them. Like I said, if I have issues that were not in the best condition, that's when I typically will hang them up on the wall for the centerfold. So that was all of the 90s except for December, because December's right here. And again, they did a combined issue, just like they did before Albert purchased it. December and January were like a slow month. So December, January of 90. This is actually the last year that they do that, because moving forward, best believe 90 is going to have December, and January 92 is going to have its own issue. So we have the last actual issue where it's combined. The issues actually continue to get bigger, but again, this is 90 to 91. So February of 91 right here, March 91 with the CRX on the cover, or is this a EG? I don't even know, but you got Local 64 being featured. Local 64 is on the back. I'll show you guys in the posters later, but this is April 91. This is the one that has Touch of Gold, a lot of people, Doughboy's car from the movie Boys in the Hood. I can't wait to hopefully see that one in Japan. So, you know, you got Doughboy's Touch of Gold this issue. Having these issues, it's like going back and like, you obviously, I can't own the car, it's in Japan, but it's like owning a piece of the car, so that's why I really always got into the magazines, man. May of 90, it's time capsules, man. I mean, June of 91, June of 91, June of 91. I don't know anybody else who has, like, I know people collect, but I don't know people who have as many duplicates, but I don't sell. July of 91, July of 91, July of 91, July of 91. Like, I have a serious addiction to lowriding. So, I mean, if you ever see me out there and you ever want to talk lowriders, man, feel free. August 91, August 91, August 91. So, and then September 91, September 91. I had a couple more issues, but I sent these actually to the homie Steven from Rayano Hydraulics out there. That's his Pops Cadillac. He did the setup. His Pops passed away, sadly, so sent him some copies. Like I said, I don't sell, but if you're the homie, hey man, reach out. I'll hook it up, man. I think we did like a trade. He sent me some of his merch. I got some hydraulics hats and stuff like that. So always represented. This is October 91, November 91, December 91. Oh my god, I got so many issues of December 91. So December 91s. There's tons of them here. So that's it for 90 to 91. So you can see the stocks keep getting bigger. So this is January 92. Like I said, as the years progress, the magazines are getting thicker. These still, sometimes, it's interesting. Sometimes, I don't know if this means that it was a mail order. Sometimes you get a barcode on them, sometimes you don't. I'm just assuming. I don't actually have this knowledge. You can see made in Aslan. And then this one just has a barcode on it. Same issue, obviously purchased two different ways. And I'm proud to have both of them, so that's pretty much it. And again, this is March of 92, same thing. And let's get April 92. May of 92 is probably one of my, it's up there as one of my favorite covers that were shot. You got this 6 tray, beautiful color, some beautiful Dayton wire wheels on it. Young woman on the hood of the car with a Mexican flag. This is their Cinco de Mayo issue. Moving forward, typically for the Cinco de Mayo issues, you're always going to get some type of cultural reference in Lowrider Magazine. They didn't really do that prior to this. This is kind of their first one, and I think they hit it out of the park with this one. This was actually one of my favorite covers. Beautiful looking 6.3. I don't know where it is today. There's one up in Michigan that looks kind of similar. Man, it's a beautiful car, man. The way that they built these cars, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So we're going to get into June of 92. July of 93, July of 92 is another beautiful 6.3 from Stylistics. I don't know this model, but I know that she was on a lot of the covers. There's a book that I have that kind of goes over, it actually talks about in the issue that I showed you guys earlier, the women of lowriding, and it kind of talks about a lot of the women that were on covers. So I have August of 92, August of 92. Then we're gonna get September 92, September 92. 92 is, I feel like, when they were experimenting with a lot of their covers. They kind of did like a spooky version for October of 92. Pretty good looking cover. Again, a couple different issues I have. Some have the Athlon, some have the barcode. If you guys know, drop it in the comment below. I'm just assuming that they were mail orders, and then they would just do a little glue strip on there, and they've just been taken off. If you do have the ones with the glue strips, all you have to do is take a little bit of alcohol on them and rub alcohol, and it won't damage the magazine, but it will release the glue. So then we get into November of 92. Again, I said that these have issues with the covers. These are the ones that, sadly, I wish they were in better condition. I do have some that are in better condition. They start to rip at the end. But I mean, this is November 92. Once they kind of start to go, they just start to go. This is a better example of it, but I mean, they all kind of have a little bit of an issue. December of 92, this was an interesting cover. I think they used this one also for their DV or their VHS. This is also the same cover that was on their VHS. I remember when I was with Nathan Trujillo, we were out in San Jose. He was telling me the guy that was doing a lot of the movies, like the VHSs, he was out from, I think it was like Norway or something, and he said that he was an interesting character, so it's a fun fact. As I mentioned earlier, the Twilight from Lifestyle, he made it on the cover again. I only have one issue of this one. This is January of 93, so we're going to start our 93 whole thing. So, and then obviously, this is one of the covers that everybody remembers because this is Local 64. Bro, these magazines, so the older ones, this is probably a quarter or maybe a third bigger than the other ones the previous year, so they're getting bigger. So you have, this is 93. In 93, they start talking about lowrider bikes. You got Clam Jumper from Danny D. Before it was actually known as Gold Rush. So Gold Rush was the original name of the bike, and then he realized somebody else had a bike named Gold Rush, so he named it Clam Jumper. But yeah, this is Local 64. And then you get into March of 93. It's interesting because, I mean, you're still seeing Euros on the cover. I mean, these are new cars. In the 80s, these G-bodies and stuff, the Cadillacs, they were brand new cars, so they were trying to continue the trend. The whole Lowrider Euro thing wasn't really a thing yet. It just was buy a new car at the dealership, and you want to be the first person to put switches on it. So then we get that May 93, and again, they try to stay with the whole theming. So I think I have more of this issue. I don't know. It seems like I only have one right here right now, but I know I definitely have more of that issue. So June of 93, You know, that was the previous one was the May, so that was their Cinco de Mayo. They're trying to pay homage. July out there. This probably looks like it's out in Arizona somewhere. And then I have another July '93, but obviously this one's not in the best condition. So, like I said, the issues, great issues, but they're hard to keep together. So, August of '93, September of '93, September '93, poor condition, September '93. And then we get to October '93. So you get a Euro on the cover. You get a lot of Euros, you know. It just is what it is in this era. So November '93, November '93. I would say that this is probably one of the more famous Christmas ones, which has the 60, the December '93. This is probably one of the more famous Christmas style covers. So, and that's gonna end it for '93. So we're gonna get into '94 next. So we're gonna get into January '94, February of '94. This is for '94 is the last issue where it's fully stapled. These magazines just start getting just way too big for the staples, and that's when they get the glue bound size. They're bound that way. March of '94. So March of '94, a couple different copies of this one. And then I have April of '94, pristine condition, obviously. May '94. It almost feels like Pokemon cards. I don't like Pokemon cards, but I imagine that's what it's like. And then we have June of '94. This is, you know, freshly squeezed. This is the car that was in Friday. This is Big Worm's car. It now lives out in Japan. It's been out there in Japan damn near since almost the movie came out. It's been out there for some time. So, yeah, so it's been out there. Car pretty much looks pretty similar, but this is the one that has that feature in it. Again, obviously I don't own all these cars, so the next best thing is to own the issues that actually have the cars in it. It's a nice piece to have, to kind of just go down and reminisce how things were back in the day. Let's see, freshly squeezed. Thought they had, I guess they maybe only have one page. I think they have another one somewhere else, but just to show the little article real quick, you guys are not gonna be able to read it, so it doesn't matter. If you guys want to read it, check out my homie. He is called the Mayor of LA. It's my homie out in Germany. He actually has a pretty decent collection. I think he's gone through a lot of these early issues. Give him a check out. He actually spends time to go through all the issues. If that's something you guys would want, I wouldn't have an issue, but this is July of '94. Just I don't know if the interest is actually there. I'm just showing kind of what I hold in my collection currently, because people always ask me, hey, do you have this issue? Do you have that issue? And I'm always like, yeah, I probably have it somewhere. Some August '94s. And September '94. Fox body Mustang on there. Oh, these are all September '94, so September '94s. Again, different grades of quality of these magazines. They're really getting bigger in this era, so they're more likely to actually be damaged. For the thinner ones, they kind of hold together a little bit better. But these, you just start to get so big. So October of '94, a couple different issues here. November of '94, too many issues of this one. So '94. And then we get to December of '94. We saw this car in person. If you didn't see it in my video with the Albas, Elite Car Club, they actually got this one back, and it's great to see. Bro, the car, the gold was pretty much all there. They sold the car, it went out to Chicago, like that area. There was a Chicago Elite chapter for a while, but then, you know, things happened, so that chapter got dissolved, and now they kind of don't do chapters, they just do individuals that are plaqued up. I think it's a good way to look at it. Instead of just saying, hey, we have this state or this territory, it's just, hey, like, you know, he is who he is, and he's plaqued up. But this is the end of '94. If you guys want to see this car, check out that Kilos Media, or Kicking It with Kilos with the Elite, with the Albas. So this is my collection of '95. '95 starts off with still you got the staples. So LA, Super Shows covered, obviously the Vegas cars on the cover. This is prime when when Las Vegas was going against Local 64 and that whole fiasco was going on. I have some issues here that are actually missing covers. So when I pick up these issues, I pick them up from people that are just reselling them, obviously. Bro, in 95, I was 5 years old. I really wasn't copping all these, didn't even have a job. So some of these are not in the best condition, but they're not in the best condition because I did it. It's because that's how I purchased them, and I continue to let them live within my catalog, essentially. So we have February of 95 here. And then we have March. So actually, this February of 95 is the last one. This is the last time we're going to see the staples. They actually do 3 staples. The earlier issues actually only had 2 staples. Let me check this real quick. Yeah, so it looks like probably towards the end, like mid 94, they were probably doing 3 staples. The earlier issues actually only had 2 staples, random facts, but you know. Then we get to March of 95. March of 95 is when you actually see the side, like, you know, you can see the name on the side. These just had staples again. There was no way to put any lettering or anything, so you get the glue bound siding. March of 95. These are all March of 95 issues. The green for March, so I mean, they're really trying to get into the theming. I think they're doing a good job of that. And then we get some May of 95. No, I'm sorry, not May of 95. This is April. So this one goes here. I read that one. So we get some April of 95s. Some player wheels. A lot of people represent player wheels now. Player wheels were even popping back then. They had the eagle like they were Danes though. Then you get May of 95. You know, Cinco de Mayo. That theme's still going on. You know, got a mariachi band. You know, with the sarape and the 57. So, you know, still staying with that theming. And then probably one of the most iconic covers of the 90s. I mean, you just, you know, you go with this. It is what it is. This is probably, when people think of Lowrider Magazine, this is probably one of the covers that come to mind if you were popping in like the 90s. And then you get July of 95. And then, again, this whole era, this is not when people were, and 95 is, bro, these magazines are getting big. From moving from the previous ones, I would say that 95 is probably the biggest one. Actual fun fact though, the 04, that era was when the magazine was at its thickest. These magazines are thick, but they actually end up being like double the size in the early 2000s. That was really the advertisement prime. But, you know, August 05, you still get, it's a newer American car. I think this is Impala. I think this is a Bubble. It's like a 96, you know, all eyes on me. But then we have September of 95. I think this is a Nissan. You remember, Nissan's been popping. It's just that whole era. You know, just like Cali Boy was trying to bring the 90s back, you know, they gave away that car and stuff. That's exactly what was popping. Obviously, 90s were popping, so that's what it was. And then you got October of 05. I'm sorry, October of 95. So this one has really bad water damage, but like I said, these issues came to me. So this one's a pristine copy. So I think I got a little rip on this one, but you know. And then we got November of 95. And then they try to stay with the theming and do a Christmas. I still think that Christmas one was a 92. I think that's like their best Christmas issue. So they try to stay with the theming, and you know, it's okay. But that's it for 95. So let's take a look at these 96 issues. So this is January 96. We have February of 96. March of 96. Again with the green background, you know, March of 96. February, wait, what is it? Oh, so I must have these. I actually have, this is a February of 96 as well. A good cover though, you see the scraping in the back and stuff. They're talking about Midwest lowriders and stuff like that. The magazine's definitely lost. The magazine has definitely left Southern California, and it's definitely pretty much international at this point, but mostly United States. So we get this. This is another iconic cover. I would say like the 96 and 95 era, that's pretty much a lot of those iconic covers. More again for the Cinco de Mayo. A lot of those covers that you think of is just iconic shit, man. June of 96. This is a weird one. I always thought it was kind of funky, but you know, this is the July of '96. I mean, the model had like an interesting outfit on. I don't know, man. It was a different time, you know. It was different. August of '96. Got a couple of these. This is September '96. I always thought that this one, they thought that it should have been like a March one, but they got it mixed up and they put it out in September. But I don't know. What do you think? Definitely good cover though. I mean, you don't really see too many radicals a bit like that on the cover anymore. Well, in the later years. And then you get these, which are October of '96. A couple different grades, obviously. Some are waterlogged and stuff like that, but a couple different issues, or a couple different copies of this one. And then November of '96. Why do I have so many copies of this one? Alright, so September of '96. And then there is an issue that's near and dear to my heart, December of '96. So there was a car from my city that was featured in an earlier issue, but he didn't really have the centerfold. For this issue, I have a pristine copy right here, still in plastic obviously. I have a poster up here in the wall. I'll show you later on in this video. If you guys are still here, man, thank you, man. I know it's been like, what the hell is this guy talking about? I don't know which ones have posters and which ones do not have posters. So yeah, so this is Buchanan's. He had the diving board on the back of his Impala at the time. Kind of got me to like the booty kits on the Impala. I know a lot of people didn't like them. This was not a typical style for an Impala because, like the one that I showed you from, what was it, '89, different style. This style of Continental kit was actually more of like a Thunderbird style. So it was interesting to see. He also had standard day-ins. Bro, we're out here in Ohio. We're a little different, but man, it was a clean-ass car. He's still out here. Actually, this car is featured here in '96. It's still on the truck today, the Lowrider semi-truck. It's still on there today. That red 6.4, that's this one out here. And then he's still out here. I would like to do, you know, kicking with kilos here with him. Hopefully he has some time. But this ends '96. So let's get into '97 now. January of '97, this is their 20th anniversary issue, because they started obviously in 1977, so you have '78, which never happened, so they never really had a 10th anniversary. 20th year anniversary, came out with this one. You know, we got Imperials on the cover. Good cover. Then we get into February '97. So then we get March of '97. Again, they try to stay with that green theme for March. I remember hearing Joe Ray say once that you put a green Impala on the cover of Lowrider Magazine and everything's in the cell. I think it's true. The magazines, I mean, obviously they had women on them and stuff, but I mean, some pretty good issues. I have 4 copies of this April '97. The one up front is obviously in the worst condition. This one here inside so you guys see it better. But, so, that is '97. And let's get to May of '97. So, May '97, definitely another iconic cover. When you think of Lowrider Magazine, this is probably one of those ones that come to your head. May, Single Day Mile, I think she's with the 66? Yeah, 66. Man, one of those iconic covers though. Daza on that cover. June of '97. So, June of '97. And my Julys. I think I might only have one. July of '97. And August. September. October. A couple Octobers in bad condition. So October. November, and then December '97. I think December of '97 is the last one where we kind of get the Euros on the front. I don't think we see that in any other issue past '97. I think '98, '99. I think they kind of, and it was 2000. I think when they start to get Lowrider Euro, I got some of those issues too. I'm going to show you, but I think this is the last time that they show actual like imports, or Euros is what we would call them, on the cover of Lowrider Magazine. It was a different time in lowriding. We didn't really know. Again, we wanted to have new cars that were just brought out to the dealership and put switches on them. And then we kind of had a divide. It's the same thing that happened with custom cars. You had customs, and then lowriders were like a subset of customs, and we kind of grew into our own organization. That's kind of what was happening with the whole Euro thing, because I mean, everybody likes JDM stuff and all those types of cars now, but in that era, it was all about customizing and body kits, lowering, and the real thing was putting wire wheels because they were prevalent, and then putting body kits. A lot of people had candy paint, which derives from the lowrider world, and it's the cross and the fusion between the two automotive, concepts, and then they go and do their own thing. Same thing we did with lowriding. We came from the custom car world. We were very similar, and then we wanted to lower. We had our deep dish wheels. Then we switched to wires, and we had our Craigers, and we go to wires and those types of things. And now we have our own culture on that. It's no different, but I think that's the last time that we see it on the cover of Lowrider Magazine. Let's get into 98. So we have January of 98, February of 98. Grab this issue down here. And put this one back in. So we have March of 98. I have a couple copies of this one pristine. This was one of those other issues that was near and dear to my heart, because at this time I was a kid here, and there was there was a bicycle in here that is from my town. It is called, what was it called? Little Looney? No, that's his other one. Child's Play. It was a bicycle called Child's Play, and I used to see this bike in person. Well, I still couldn't go see it in person, and it just, to see something locally, because I mean, obviously I was into lowriding, but I was more on the lowrider bicycle side of things than the cars, because that's what I could afford. I was a youth, so I mean, cars were cool. I didn't know much about it, so let's pull this one up just to share real quick. So where's Child's Play at? I remember going into the bike shop and being able to see this article, and bro, it was like the coolest thing in the world to know that you knew somebody that was in the magazine. Obviously that one from 96 had the other car that was from Cleveland, but as I mentioned previously, I really wasn't, bro, I'm like 8 years old. It's a nice car, but what do you really know at 8 years old? Child's Play though, he used to drive this thing, or ride it in all the parade and stuff. Here in Ohio, we have a big Puerto Rican population, so Chris is actually Mexican, of Mexican descent, but he would ride the bike in the Puerto Rican parade. And the bike scene here, bro, being in Ohio, I shared something on Instagram before. Even though we were out here in Ohio, bro, we had lowriders. It was no different. If you didn't know better, you might think you might be in the IE, or obviously out there in California in 98, there was some top-notch bikes being built, but I mean, we had some stuff out here too. We did a lot of the 16-inch with, sometimes we do 20-inch with 20-inch fork and then 16-inch wheels. Obviously these are bikes I'm talking about, so 16-inch wheels, don't think that I'm talking about wheels for a car. These are just a 16-inch, So having this issue was I always wanted this issue, and when I was able to grab one, I always picked those up, and it's near and dear to my heart as well. So just wanted to share that with you guys. April of 98, and then we get our Cinco de Mayo issue. We get Cinco de Mayo. I have quite a few of this issue. I think I have the poster up on the wall behind me as well for this one. But a couple different issues, as I mentioned before, different grades, because I just pick up what I can pick up. June of 98. Then we get to July of 98. I think August of 98 is a pretty good cover. This one always stuck out. There's a couple issues, when you look back and you're like, wow, I don't know who shot a lot of these, and I wish I had more of the connection. I speak to a lot of lowrider photographers, but this was before their era, so I wish I could kind of converse with some of the people that were around in this era a little bit more. There's some good work, and there's art behind photography. It's not just taking a picture. A lot of people will be out there with their cell phone and stuff, and it's not the same, But we're gonna get into, this is October of 98, so. And then we get into November of 98. And then we get into December of 98. Now let's look at 99, because this is the last before the millennium. So let's see what Lowrider was doing in 1999. So in 1999, we get January of 99. We actually get Casanova, which ends up iconic car. This is the last import, 100%. This car, I think, had like, it got hit by something, and like part of it was a desk. I remember seeing it on Lay Low back in the day. Casanova, it is a Nissan 300, right? This is a fair lady in Japan. I forgot if it's a 300 or I think it's a 300 here, like a ZX 300. February 99, March of 99, May of 99, which again, they're Cinco de Mayo. They have Pachuco on here, but I don't know, not my favorite cover, but it's a pretty iconic cover for 99, you know. And then we get into June of 99, July of 99, August of 99. And the August issue, this 58 is actually a 58 that they gave away. I think some kid won it in, I think it was Texas, but this is that 58. September of 99. I wonder where that 50 is now. That's the real question. So, you know, this looks like this probably should have been their Cinco de Mayo issue. And then they just were like, yeah, you know what? We're going to go with the other one. I think this one might have made an actual better Cinco de Mayo issue. I know they call it the Revolucion, but I think it would have made a better cover for the Cinco de Mayo. The other one's cool, but it ain't all that. October of 99, they do kind of, you know, try to stay with that spooky theme. Pretty good cover, in my opinion. Probably one of the better actual October. I think there's like one or two from like 93, but, and then we're gonna get into November of 99. You get your bomba on the front. And then December of 99, so we leave the 90s with one of the cars that was probably in Lowrider Magazine more than any other car. This car is Saul Vargas's. He is a Lowrider Magazine photographer. He's part of Lifestyles. He pops up. I'll show you guys calendars, bro. The car pops up a lot. I don't know if he had an aircraft setup in it here. I think he got into aircraft setups. Obviously, if you follow me and you mess with me, you obviously know that I'm into aircraft setups. I'm gonna take a look real quick to see if I can find it. If not, I'm not gonna bore you guys here with that because we have a whole millennia to get through, and this is the end of the 90s. So we're just getting out of the 90s, and we're going to. I'm not gonna waste you guys time. I'm going to. Oh, here we go. See if they show the trunk, and they do not show the trunk. Text by Saul Vargas, and Saul Vargas' card, but and Jessica Lopez. Photos by Lowrider staff. Actually, the photos are actually probably by Saul Vargas, and they just wanted to kind of say that it was by Lowrider staff because they didn't want to be like, yeah, owner owner Saul Vargas. This Saul Vargas. Oh, and this is actually the one that has Toledo, Ohio, is out here by me. Glass City used to do a pretty good show. Glass City is they were really prevalent in our area. We had a pretty prevalent thing here in the Cleveland area, but I mean, that's a story for another day. If you guys are interested, I have people who could tell it. I was not a part of it. I've only heard stories. I heard that we had a show here, and you know, it was the 90s. People were messing with dope and stuff, and the feds came in, pulled out our cars, and you know, all the classic cars that you know a lot of cities have that are cars from the older era. Like, oh, I remember this car as a kid, got pulled out, except for that 64 by Anthony Buchanan. It's pretty much one of the only ones. There's also a blue 64 around that's from that same era, but only those two remain. Where a lot of those other cars that probably could have made it to the senior status and kind of been more iconic cars are, I don't know where now. So, but that's not my story to tell. That's somebody else's story to tell. And I mean, a lot of those old heads, they mess with me, but they don't want to tell that story because they feel like they still could be indicted over some charges. So, I don't know. But let's get into those 2000s. So we have some January 2000s. So this is the start of millennia, right here. Then we have February of 2000, badass Cadillac, big body Cadillac on the cover. This is definitely one of those, I think these are one of the best covers, probably the 2000s in my opinion. I really like this cover. This cover always stood out to me. That's 2000. March 2000. Then we have April of 2000. And then we have May of 2000. Again, Cinco de Mayo issue. Don't know if this is the best that they could have did, but I mean, it is what it is. I mean, they're paying homage to the culture. June of 2000. Right here, June of 2000. Then we get July 2000. So, and then we get September of 2000. If you remember the music video by Cypress Hill, it had a 57. This is that 57, Lifestyles Car Club. This is when it debuted. Yeah, I think it's Mr. Cartoon that owns this one. I'm just going off the top of my head. I can't remember, honestly, so if I'm wrong, please don't come for me in the comments. But I'm just going off of memory. So August of 2000. Then we have some October of 2000. And then we have November of 2000. I have a bunch of November 2000s. So November 2000. Again, these issues are getting thick, man. These are definitely getting thick. And then December of 2000. So December of 2000 here. And let's get into 01. This is January of 01. Probably one of my favorite covers as well. Start off the 2001 era. This was the cover of a VHS for Lowrider Magazine. This was on stickers. This was a really well, you can see it's photoshopped on the back. Bro, 01 Photoshop, bro, you gotta just remember, you gotta think about how it was. But I think this is a really well, exceptionally done cover for Lowrider Magazine, so homage to them for that 01 cover. Then February of 01. Again, what's your favorite cover, you know? Bro, there's hundreds of magazines here. Have I went over it yet? What's your favorite cover? Is your car featured on one of these covers? So we get this one. And that was March, obviously. So we get some April of 01. And then May of 01 should have probably been the March, but we no longer do the Cinco de Mayo trend. It's kind of over. So I feel like, I mean, if they wanted to stay with the green, you know, they could do that for March, but they did it for May instead. Good cover. I think I have the poster hanging up on my wall behind me. And then June of 01. July of 01. And these books are getting big. They're definitely not small anymore. They're not nowhere near the size of those smaller ones that were stapled earlier. August of 01. Got a G body on the cover. September of 01. Right here. October of 01. Then we get to November of 01. So some November of the 01s. And then we get to December of 01. So December. And let's get into the 02s, right? Let's get into that 2002. So now we're at 02. Something that doesn't happen until later issues, or I don't think they do this really at any other time actually. They do a special edition for their 20th anniversary. Again, they did their 20th anniversary in 97 and they do their 25th in 02. So these are the same issue. There are, actually, these would be the two. So I have a poster on my wall. I think it's inside of here. It's, you know, the same issue, just two different covers. Big wide angle shot, but kind of was, you got one issue or you got the other. Most people never even had both, or maybe you don't even know that there's two different covers for that one. They do alternate between two different covers, obviously, like I mentioned, at the AutoZone and I think that's 04 to 05, but that's only short term. We'll get into those later when that actually happens. So we get January, and this is February. March, nice 5.9 on there. So March. Let's see, this April. April's issue. We get some May. Again, that Cinco de Mayo thing totally gone. They don't do that anymore. So it was a 90s thing, and it was kind of nice when they did it, but whatever. I mean, the magazine's getting big. I guess they didn't want to play into that stereotype or any of those type of things. So we get these issues. This is June. And then we get July. And then we probably get the most famous cover of the O2s in August, which this is Gangster's, his car is a 64 that ended up going to Japan, Santana. So this is the one that's in Sunday Driver. A lot of people question where that car is now. It was damaged in Japan, and will they fix it? So obviously at the end of Sunday Driver, they say that they want to change the setup, whatever, and Gangster was unhappy with that, but I believe that they were actually in a front end collision, and it's just kind of been in pieces pretty much ever since. They always will say that they're going to get it redone, but the paint was all done by the doc, and he's since passed away. And it's not the easiest thing to match up patterns. So will this car ever come out again? Probably not. You have Ragtana out of, I think he's like mid-California, like central, or maybe he's in Northern California. Some people don't like it. I enjoy seeing it because I was never able to see Santana. So to see Ragtana, a lot of people say that it shouldn't be with the guy who has it right now because he kind of copied another car or whatever. But I mean, that's a subject for another day, I guess. But Santana, probably one of the most prominent issues for the O2s. So we get this one is September. So September, and then we get into October. Nice 5.9. And this is when 5.9s were still cheap. So 5.9 on the cover, relatively cheap. I mean, you can pick up a 5.9. Nobody really liked 5.9s at this time, so it's crazy. Right now, obviously, everybody's after 5.9. Supply and demand, but in that era, no. November of 02 and December of 02. Again, if they wanted to stay with these greens, they should have did this one in March, man. But it's all good. So that is the 02. Let's get into 03 now. Before we jump into the 03s, let's do a little side quest. So I have a lot of Lowrider Magazine calendars. Don't have all of them, bro. I've seen them go back to 85, I think. I'm not sure if there was any prior. Some of those go for top dollar. I'm not willing to spend some of the money that people are asking. But what I do have is a 96. So these again aren't the most common things. These are our calendars. A little bit of an anomaly. Pictures, sometimes these were pictures that were used inside of the magazine. A lot of times they were not pictures that were used inside of the magazine. So you end up with just some kind of one-off type pictures that people have never seen, or they haven't seen in a long time. A lot of times after calendars, they would toss them away and stuff. So I don't have a 97, but I do have a 98. So again, this is calendar. So Daz is, I think, in both of these. So just different perspectives. Obviously, this is similar to the cover of the May issue for 98, but it's not the same exact photo. So it's always interesting. 99. It's just always interesting to see, some of the different perspectives, because all we know is what we've seen, and there's tons of photos. I mean, this was the film era, so they would probably shoot 35, 28 roll or shots, So, I mean, you get all these pictures. These are just essentially, they would do these with the models, and then, because that just tells you that they had the covers of these magazines set up. They knew who was going to be on the cover, Then another 2000, this one's still in the packaging, and then this one is a 2001. So I think this one has, let's see, give me 1 second. Is it on the back? Yeah, this says, I was talking about the Saul Vargas, how his Monte Carlos in a lot of content, like throughout Lowrider Magazine. If you just look back at it, he's the one who probably made out the most, because I mean, his car is just prominently filled in like every single. This is similar to the other photo though, so. But I was just saying that he was in a lot of media in this era, so. He was the photographer, and he just happened to put himself in a lot of the once, because this is 2000 and what was it, 2002. He's awesome in this one. I'm not hating on him or anything. It's just, bro, it's like every issue had his car in there, and I think it's just kind of funny. I have no beef with him, but I don't think he likes me that much. He told me that my Dick DeLuth hat was fake, but I mean, this is a subject for another day as well. 03 calendar, so another calendar. It's just cool to see. I mean, bro, las mujeres de aquí, where are they now is the real question, but I mean, it is what it is. I mean, this is 04. I'm not going to bore you guys with this because we got to get into the 03. I'm not going to go through every single one. I do not have an 06, but I do have a Boulevard 06, Thump Records, which is interesting because Thump Records was their record label by Lowrider Magazine. They kind of had a lot of stuff. So it's like Boulevard Magazine was kind of like a sublet because a lot of the stuff that was in Boulevard Magazine, I think that they were using a lot of lifestyle cars. And that's not something that could happen, especially in this era, without the okay from, you know, the higher ups from lifestyles. 07 and then an 08 calendar. And that's just a little side quest, sharing some of my calendars with you guys that I've collected over the years. Now let's get into that 03. Let's see what we got. So these are the January of 03. Then we get February of 03. And then March of 03, which has a tray with a booty kit. And then we have April of 03, bunch of April of 03. And then Lowrider Magazine was like, you know what, we need to pay homage to our May issue again. Let's do it for La Raza, and let's put Cinco de Mayo issue together. So that's what they did here. And then we get into, this one is June. So June. And then July, they kind of do their first like American 4th of July issue, kind of, I would guess. I don't think they kind of really did this in any of the other past issues. I mean, we went through them all. Tell me what you think. This is kind of where it's really prominent. And yeah, July. And August of 03. And then we get to September of 03. October, November, and December. So let's get to that 04. 04 is here. This is January. 04 is always near and dear to my heart for this year because this is the year where I start purchasing Lowrider Magazine on my own. As I mentioned before, it's really prominent now. You can see the logo. There's no real space between Low and Rider. In the earlier issues, I showed you guys there was a little bit of space. Now it's really prominent. You guys can go back and kind of take a look to see when that actually happens. I want to say it's in the mid-90s is where they kind of redid their logo. I think that's a whole different trademark at that point. So just saying, if anybody were to repop, it's a different logo. But, so let's get to February of 04. February of 04, Eddie, the wrestler. I mean, everybody kind of knows this issue, but you see that there's two different covers. That is because, I can't even hold these anymore. Just keep picking them up. Because of the one at AutoZone. So AutoZone wanted theirs without a girl. So obviously I have a couple issues here of this copy. This is the only one that I have. This one obviously came from AutoZone. The way you can tell, there's no girl. This is when they started doing it. So I don't know if they actually, I don't know if this was the first issue that did it. There might be a January of 04. I don't hold it if there is. This is what I have. I have a couple of them. I know that I am missing a couple. I don't really see them pop up that much. So March of 04. If you ordered it, this is one that was ordered through the mail. You got one that had the model on it. I was told that ones that were ordered through the mail later on were ones without the models on it as well. I cannot confirm that, but that's just hearsay from what I've been told. April of 94, I'm sorry, April of 04, you know, I definitely remember having this issue and reading it through when I was just 14 years old. So, man, I remember when I first picked these back up and I read through them, and it's like you're back in that time. And it's just, you know, Be Real on the cover of this one. there's probably definitely a censored version of this one. Again, I do not have it. I like the cover though. B-reels on this one, so. And then I definitely remember this June issue as well. I remember going to the store and buying this one. June. I think this one had an article about the game, and then there was a guy out of what the fuck was the dude's name? The other rapper there was out of Compton. Baseball, the flow that sounded like Biggie. I can't remember his name. But the Snoop Dogg issue. A lot of people say that this is a rare issue. Sometimes you'll hop on eBay and they'll be like the rare Snoop Dogg issue. It's not a rare issue. Like, it's just, it is what it is. August 04. Honestly, most of these are not rare issues. Today, in today's market, most of these issues are going for like $15, $20 on eBay plus shipping. So that's just average. If you're paying more than that, make sure it's a pristine copy. September 04. And there's different qualities of them. If you get one that is a male, like that was part of the subscription, it's seen in my eyes as a less of versus ones that have the barcode on it, like these, which is the October of 04. And then we have the November 04. This is one where I feel as the November 04, the one without the girls is a better cover than the ones with it. I mean, I think that's a great shot. I don't know who shot it. This is 04. But I mean, compared to this one, I mean, I think it just looks a little bit better. But I mean, that's just me being a little nerd, I guess. And then we get to the December of 04. A couple issues here. Obviously, one that's in bad condition, or that had one that had bad condition next to it. It's a mail order one from somebody that was actually in my city in Cleveland. So yeah, this one is just not in the best condition. But I got some that are in good condition. So, but this is the 04, and let's get into 05. 05 has the biggest issues, so let's go take a look at the 05 magazines. So this is 2005, January. Again, definitely remember all these issues because this is when I was going to the store and purchasing them myself. So always great to see these. This is going to be the February of 05. And then we get March of 05, April of 05, and then we get May of 05. Then here we have June of 05. I have one of the ones that was sent through the mail, and as you can tell, it does not have a woman on it, so no model. The model seems to be only on the in-store purchase at this time, so they went and they had to produce these only for AutoZone initially in the 04, so in 05, it seemed like if you were ordering it through the mail, they sent you ones. There's two prime examples. These are ones that were ordered through the mail that only had the automotive on it and no model. So then we get into the July of 05, a couple different quality grades of the issue here, but these magazines get big. I want to say 05, 04, they were the biggest. And then their Texas issue, so there's that. And then we get into the September. Yeah, September. October. The cover I always thought of October was pretty good. So October. And then we get the November issue. November issue is DJ Lady Tribe. She was a DJ in Southern California at the time. Volo has a story, I think, where he goes over with her. So check out his YouTube channel. He's an old photographer from this era. Not old as in being old, but he's a photographer from this era of Lowrider Magazine. He started in 2001. So a lot of these issues from 2001 till that I've covered so far, he had his hand in here somehow. So give him a follow, check it out. Pretty good content. This is December of 05. And my question to you guys, do you want me to continue with this and continue with 06 and move on forward? Do you guys want me to show you some other stuff? Because I have tons of stuff here. I have tons of stuff that was gifted to me. I have tons of stuff that was given to me. Above me, I have some. I'll actually bring it down so you guys can see. I have. Let me show you. These are the flags, the banners, I guess, from Lowrider Magazine. These just live on the ceiling. I have tons of stuff that you guys can't see within, but 30th anniversary. I have two 30th anniversary hats. One is in pristine condition. The other one I was wearing a lot. When I was 30, not so long ago, a couple years ago, I was wearing that hat heavily. This is a book that I picked up recently. A photographer out of I want to say Wisconsin or Milwaukee. I think Wisconsin. He's really close to Chicago, Wisconsin. So Renee, I purchased his book. You know, try to support the homies and stuff. Hardcover, good cover book. Give him a follow. Check his stuff out. Then he gave me these trinkets to go with it. Some air fresheners, and then some Low stickers. Thought it was a nice little piece to go with it. What do we have up here? Oh, he gave some prints. So this actually goes back to Renee and his book. Some prints of photos, which is always a nice thing to have. Obviously, I left Lowrider Magazine off at 05. I have tons of other stuff I want to share with you guys. I showed you guys in the previous video of my centerfolds. Well, here's another magazine I have. This is their latest issue. This is Lowrider Scene. I have all of their issues. So those things are all here. They're all here. Issue number 1's down here at the bottom. I did have a little bit of issue to get the last issue, but I mean, I try to support everybody that produces Lowrider media, regardless of any personal issues. I do not have many street low issues. I would like to get some more of those. They're just either hard to get or they're kind of expensive. I have well, hold on, let me go with this one first. So this hat came from the Dick DeLoach, his estate sale. I was wearing this one, but I try not to wear it anymore because he actually would wear this one, so I wanted to keep that. He also wore the pink one that I have on, but I'm only shooting a video with this one. But I want to let that stuff live on, and I don't want to damage any of that. This book right here actually came from his estate sale. You can still pick this book up, relatively inexpensive. This Lowrider Magazine came from him as well, from the estate sale. But this kind of goes over a lot of kind of just the general things of Lowrider Magazine. If somebody didn't have the collection that I had and kind of wanted to go over the history, I've read the book. It kind of just is, kind of just goes over everything that the other magazines have. So this was a physical copy that you could purchase in a bookstore. Some libraries had this for a little bit. Again, you get Mike Lopez's Twilight on the cover. So I mean, I said he was on 2. I guess he's on the cover of 3 things if you're actually including that. Some other things that I have some Oddball magazines here. So Carcraft. This one actually has an issue. It goes over what was kind of going on in South Central and how people were lowriding back then. Let's see if I pull up that article real quick. I don't know if this magazine's that easy to find anymore. I mean, they're out there. I don't think they're that hard to find. But let me see, where is it? It's in the beginning, I believe, right? But this one just kind of went over what it was like having I think they were driving Corvairs, and what it was like lowriding in South Central, and I think this was the 80s? No, this is 70s. So it's kind of going over what it was like lowriding in the 70s. And you gotta remember, Lowrider Magazine came out in 77, so this is one of the first articles kind of published on lowriding. So I mean, this is September of 1970, so, and I mean, predominantly, most people, it was a lot of brothers then. So what was happening in South Central in the 70s. But again, this is September of 70, so you gotta remember, it took a couple months to get this production stuff done. So these are some of the Japanese lowriders that I have. These came from Dick DeLoach's estate sale as well. I have a Pasco manual. I didn't know how to fix Pascos and stuff, so cruising, Some of these were gifted to me because I think one of these has, like, there's an article about lifestyles in one of these. I'm not going to bore you with that. But I have a bunch of Oddball magazines. I'll actually show you some Carcraft magazines that I have as well, because those are a little bit important because they talk about what the first car that had hydraulics was, and it goes into that. So let me show you guys that. I keep that down here. And these are all from 1958. Well, I think I have a couple different years here. But the one that plays the most significant is this issue right here. This is the February of '59. This is the one that has Jim Long, his 58, or I'm sorry, his '54 Ford. See, I think I have an open copy. No, I don't. I do not have an open. Oh, this one is not. Wait. I have 3 copies of this one. I guess I have 3 copies of this one, but I nerd out over this stuff, man. So, yeah, here we go. So, this is the Jim Long Ford 54. First car that had hydraulics all the way around. Well, I heard that there might have been 1 or 2 before this one, but this is the first one that kind of came together. A lot of people say that it was a Sonic X, but it was Jim Long. But these are a bunch of, I thought it was Carcraft, but these are custom cars. Some 58, some from the 60s, some from 59. A bunch of just different issues in here. This is what lowriding was before it was called lowriding. Again, like I said, we came from the custom car world, and then we deviated and created our own thing, and that is what lowriders are. So, I mean, that's lowriding. And then I do have, I was into the lowrider bicycle, so I do have a bunch of old lowrider bike parts. Actually, I'll show you guys. I talked about this one. So this is my longboard that was gifted to me from Warren Wong. I think this was actually this weekend, 5 years ago. I think we did the Cadillac Fest. I am part of Finest Creations. So Finest Creations Lowrider Bike Club. We did Cadillac Connect with Mike Lopez, because he is also part of Finest Creations. We did another bike event, and Warren was there. He gifted this to me. So, you know, always cool to have that. I have a bunch of stuff for being out here in Ohio. You guys might be like, damn, who the hell is this kid, whatever. I've met up with a lot of people. I know a lot of great people. I'm fortunate enough to call them my friends, talk to them regularly. And yeah, so that's just, I'm gonna be honest, it's a lot for just one day to go over all this stuff. I took you guys throughout my whole collection to 05. I have all these other issues of magazines. It's just, it's a lot to go through all these magazines. So I'm gonna call it quits for today. And if you guys want to see more, let me know. Maybe you guys do, maybe you guys don't. I'll make a part 2. I do want to show you guys some more of my collection. I have tons of stuff here. You guys can check me out on Instagram. Obviously, Kilos Media on IG. And then, you know, I go by Kilos1 on my personal page. I usually don't post too much stuff on my personal page. I'm usually on the Kilos Media one, more than that. But I just want to say thank you for checking me out. If you made it this far, let me know what your favorite cover of Lowrider Magazine is. What's your favorite issue? You might as well not even ask if I'm selling any of them, because I'm probably not. I don't sell the issues, I collect. I have a serious issue. Like I said, I gift some of these away to my friends, but that's really it. I'm a collector. If you see me out there, say what's up, Lowrider Magazine. Bet you didn't know that there was a cat out here in Ohio that had a collection like this. So, peace. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.